Let's go.
All right, let's do it. Thanks for joining me, Trim.
Thanks for inviting me, Vic. It's a pleasure to talk to you today about crypto, a very interesting topic that you decided to share some thoughts with me.
Right. You and I were having a call talking about, we're trying to figure out different content ideas that we could do, whether for articles, for videos, or for these podcasts, more long form content. And so one of the topics that both you and I are pretty passionate about is cryptocurrency. And it's a really interesting question, like how is it applicable to what we do at MemberFix and also at MemberHost as far as paying with crypto if you're a membership site owner running some kind of e-learning or online business, and also accepting cryptocurrency, and what are all of the mechanics and implications of that. So I thought maybe, well, first of all, just to give the listeners some context, Trim, you're a member of the MemberFix team, a really wonderful, cherished, highly respected member of our team, of our technical team, but you don't actually come from a tech background, do you?
True. I had 16 years of experience in hospitality. I was a VID at the time that I decided that I need a career change. And I've been also into banking for more than 4.5 years by now. And I was fed up with that work. I do have a bachelor degree in computer science, but I wasn't working on the things that I love to work on. So I came to you guys, and thank you for accepting me as I am. And you gave me a chance to show myself and start working on wonderful projects with you, and also with wonderful customers that we do have. Yeah, it wasn't easy on the beginning to make the switch, but believe me, it was the best decision of my life. And thank you once again for accepting me at MemberFix.
Although the pleasure is ours, team. You do such a great job, and our customers really love you as well. And yeah, that's a pretty big career change. So I guess without getting too deep into why you came to MemberFix and so forth, what actually made you interested in cryptocurrencies? Was it your banking background that you saw how the system works and you were kind of seeing the flaws in it? Or was it like from investment standpoint that you wanted to become a gazillionaire through crypto like everybody else? What got your motivation up about crypto?
All of that together, and the blockchain itself, of course. So I was into crypto before starting a career on the banking. And I do remember as today, because you have to pass some filters in order to work on a high-level position in banking, as I do work. I'm still holding that position where we go there and we review all the financial data of the bank and make some decisions for the future. And as I mentioned, you have to go to some filters, and there's like a national bank in our country, and you have to go there and have an interview with there and convince them that you were the best candidate for that position. So I remember when I went there and they asked me, what do you expect to change in the banking sector in the next years? And I started talking to them about blockchain, and I was very enthusiastic about the blockchain. And they were just like watching me, what is this person talking about? So they definitely had no interest in the blockchain itself. Because most of the people, when you talk about blockchain, about crypto, they think of a scam. They think of something that the government cannot track, but it is the opposite. The transparency in the blockchain is amazing. Once you make a timestamp there, once you make a transaction, it is impossible to remove it. And it's different with banking. They do have databases, the same like our customers have in our hosting. So there you can do modification, you can modify the table and make changes and hide everything. That's not the issue with the blockchain. And probably that's why most of the people are avoiding blockchain implementation on the payment system. So the blockchain itself, it's amazing, and that's made me interested in the cryptocurrency. There are a lot of good use of the crypto.
Yeah, what are some good use cases for crypto? I can name one to start, which is we actually our company actually pays several team members, including yourself, with cryptocurrency, which is perfectly legal. We're not doing anything wrong or anything that we shouldn't be doing. It's just, for example, I don't know if this is the case for you, Tadim, but for one of our team members, he's in Ukraine, and there are a lot of difficulties around banking there at the moment. There are very heavy withdrawal limits. There are a lot of fees to receive money from abroad. And well, yeah, with the war and everything, there's additional layers of difficulty. And let's say there's a general tightening of regulations and so forth. So basically, long story short, it's difficult to receive money traditionally through, let's say, a wire transfer or Wise or whatever the case may be, or Payoneer. So we send USDT to this team member, and then on his end, he receives it fairly quickly. It's a little bit more expensive for us to send USDT. And for the listeners who may not be aware, USDT is what's called a stable coin, which simply means that it tracks almost one-to-one with the dollar. It's essentially like a digital dollar, if you want to look at it that way, although it's a little more expensive than the dollar. And so we send these digital dollars to this team member. He then converts it into fiat currency or paper money on his end, if he needs to. Or a lot of people now, they transact directly in cryptocurrency, especially in these economies where the money is inflating at a very high rate, like Argentina is a great example, because they're very crypto friendly. They've experienced insane inflation over the last 1-2 years, like 100% plus annual inflation. So if you can imagine that, your currency becomes half as valuable as it was this time last year, that would kind of make you think twice about using your currency. You'd probably want something that holds its value a bit better. And if you're running a business, you can't just have all your money sitting in your currency, because it's basically burning a hole in your pocket at 5%, 10% a month. That's a huge amount of money. So that's one of the ways that we use crypto. From your perspective, what are sort of the benefits? We'll get into the benefits for membership site owners, but I'm actually curious to hear what are the benefits to you personally for being paid, because I know a lot of our customers also use various freelancers all around the world and work with companies all around the world. And some of those people might actually prefer being paid in crypto.
Well, the speed of payments in crypto is amazing. When you are paying the other team members through a bank transfer, through wire transfer, it takes usually 2 or even more days to complete, especially if you made the payment on Friday and they are going to receive that on Monday, on Tuesday. While when you're initiating crypto payments, you're going to almost instantly receive the money into your wallet, which is amazing. And plus, it's avoiding a lot of fees that the banks are charging us as employees. First of all, they are charging you for the transfer that you're initiating, and then they are going to charge me with a processing fee, which is going to get a nice piece of the cake that I'm receiving. So because banks has their own expenses, they must be profitable in the end and share some profit with the shareholders. So if we are using crypto payments, we are avoiding the middleman, and therefore both me and you are going to save on the transaction. And that's one of the benefits that why most of our team members are receiving their payrolls in crypto and not through traditional payment methods such as banks.
What are the potential negatives or some of the disadvantages to using crypto in this scenario?
No, there are no disadvantages. If you would like to hide your incomes and taxes, you can always do that with traditional payment methods such as banks. But if you're honest, you can give a share of the payroll that you're receiving with the government, with IRS or whatever institution there is within your country, and you are not going to have any issues at all receiving crypto payments as long as you want to be transparent and share everything with them.
Okay, so I'm going to play devil's advocate and point out a few things that may be problematic. And this is obviously very country dependent as well. For example, in the US, if you own crypto, if you purchase crypto and then you send it to somebody or you change it for another cryptocurrency, you incur what's called a capital gain. It's basically treated as an investment or a capital loss. But in either case, it needs to be reported. And I'm pretty sure that if you keep everything in stablecoin, you actually it's a loophole. You avoid being exposed to a capital event, but it gets very complicated with reporting. So that's one element. If your team member said, hey, I don't want you to pay me with USDT or USDC, which are both stable coins pegged to the US dollar, or I want you to pay me in Bitcoin, or I want you to pay me in Monero or whatever. Well, okay. But if you're a US company or a US individual and you do that transaction, you're going to incur some kind of capital event. So again, different countries have very different policies about this stuff, but you definitely could potentially expose yourself to some sort of tax or regulatory situations. So you've definitely got to do your homework on this kind of thing. So that would be one potential issue. Another issue, and we actually talked about this, team, didn't we? How would you do subscriptions? So if you're a membership site owner, right, whatever your membership is about, or your e-learning company or your WooCommerce store, and you want to accept crypto payment and you want to accept payment for subscriptions, how would that work with crypto? Would it work?
Okay. First of all, let me start by giving you an explanation why USDT is a stable coin. It is stable coin because USDT is centralized. It is controlled by exchanges and so on. The other coins that you mentioned, like Bitcoin, where you have to report a capital gain and you'll have some taxes, are crypto coins. They work on the blockchain. They are decentralized. All the transactions are running on nodes, which can be on my computer or on your computer and so on. And it's hard to track them. But I did say earlier that if you want to report, you can always report your incomes. And we don't have to think that accepting crypto payments on your membership sites, you're going to look like you're selling something on the dark net. No, that's not true, that companies can always report their incomes. You can run those reports on WooCommerce, and for example, and you can on the end of the month or quarterly or on the end of the year, you can make a report how many payments you have received in crypto and pay the taxes for according to the laws in your country. So we're working on a project at the moment as we speak, and we have implemented crypto payments for one of our customers. And I've been testing that, and I was amazed how well they work on a membership site. And right now we have implemented peer-to-peer action on our customers' website, which means that all the payments that I'm going to make are going to be directly transferred to our customers. There is no middleman, nothing in between us. The transaction is super, super fast. And I was using, by the way, the Matic, the Polygon network, and I wasn't charged any fee at all for this transaction. It was less than 1 cent. And let me tell you something. When I started working in MemberFix, I remember that we were having a discussion about one of our customers, about Sarah's. I can mention because I'm not giving any more details. And you said, Trim, listen to me. She's a very nice customer. We have to keep her. I know that she's struggling at the moment because she's having some issues with the membership. She is not earning a lot, and we will have to give her some time. And you were right, because after a month she came to me and she was asking for opinion how to save money on Stripe action, because Stripe was charging her a lot. She was not earning a lot, and she was researching for a way to save some money. And crypto payments would be a perfect example for her to keep some of those cash in her wallet instead of sharing that with middlemen, with bankings and with payment processors like Stripe, PayPal, and so on. So that's crypto. It's amazing. You have endless possibilities there. You can make it work on membership websites. You can implement smart contracts to do automatic recurring payments. So you can charge the customer every month. And yes, it's fast. It's super, super fast. By the way, there is a coin which is named Kaspa. That's a new blockchain which has parallel blocks all the time. It's not like one block at a time. They have parallel blocks going all the way, orphan blocks. They connect with each other in an amazing technology, and they are faster than Visa and MasterCard to process transaction. While a standard transaction processing on Visa and MasterCard networks, it takes 11 to 12 seconds. On the Caspa block network, which is the new version, it takes only 9 seconds to process a payment. That's super fast. So it's not that only Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the other well-known coins that are part of the blockchain. There are new projects going on at the moment which will revolutionize the market very quickly.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I guess if somebody is accepting crypto for their membership site, a potential issue that they could encounter is the off-ramping of crypto into fiat, right? So what are some ways that if, let's say, if you have, I don't know, $1,000 in some kind of a cryptocurrency, let's say Matic or Caspa or anything, Bitcoin. Okay, well, you basically kind of have two choices. You can try to withdraw that money into standard currency, USD or euros or whatever, or you can continue using that money to then buy services or buy products online, which I'm thinking that that's actually a really good way to do it because you're essentially holding a balance of crypto. So then you're minimizing fees, right? Because if you're trying to take crypto and turn it into fiat currency, you're going to be paying fees. Some banks don't allow you to cash out crypto. There could be legal or regulatory difficulties there. You might have to go through peer-to-peer transfer. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are that you are being a little bit skeptic about crypto because, as I can understand, you're not a big fan of the crypto. Probably you are used to using the traditional convenience payment methods, but I don't see any limitations here. Keeping your crypto on the current coin that you are going to receive. Of course, there are positive and negative sides. The positive side is that coin might get higher value in a month or in a year, which means that you're going to have more money in your wallet, but also the opposite might happen and you're going to lose value on that coin. But you can always set up like automatic transfers to transfer that coin into a stable coin as USDT. And then you can use other networks other than ERC20. You can use the Tron network to make transactions and not pay high fees when you do transfers.
Yeah, for sure. And part of it, I think, is getting people used to the idea that they're their own bank, because that's essentially the whole premise of cryptocurrency is that you're your own bank. It's private, which it really isn't, but to a degree it is. Let's say it's more private than the traditional banking system. It's immutable, as you explained. Like once a transaction happened, if you sent somebody money, that's it. There's no getting it, no chargebacks, which that's a double-edged sword, right? I think we wanted to talk about chargebacks. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I had an issue years ago with eBay. I was selling something that it wasn't useful to me anymore. So I said, okay, Trim, go and sell that on eBay because you don't need it. Why keep it at your home? So I decided to sell it on eBay. I opened an auction. It was sold very quickly. I sent the package through post to the customer that bought it. And after a month or so, I have noticed that eBay has charged my credit card. What was happening in the background was that the customer had put a false report that I have sent him an empty package, that the GPU that I was selling wasn't included in the box that I was sending to him. And I was very busy doing work and I have missed that email from eBay. So they were able to refund the funds to the customer without my knowledge because I just thought that email was some kind of a marketing email sent from eBay to me. So, which means that not I even lost cash, but I also lost a very valuable GPU at the time. So with crypto, you're not going to have that issues because as a owner of the business, I can decide to give you a refund or not according to your claim. And that this way it will be also firm that I will know your claim. I will be able to review all the claim that you're making and decide if you need a refund or not at this point.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting point, and it reminds me of a story that's kind of related to this, where I was, and just to clarify, I'm very pro crypto. I've been into crypto since 2016. I was even involved in a crypto startup, and I love it. I'm all about it. But in this particular case, I met this guy online, never talked to him face to face on a call, or actually, I think I did have one Zoom call with this guy once, but basically I sent him a bunch of money to invest on my behalf. So he was essentially running his own private fund that he was managing himself, a crypto fund. And I sent him 5 figures worth of money, and he, did whatever with it. And then one of the main projects that he was investing in really did a nosedive. And so, but he managed to basically refund everybody because he wasn't doing fractional reserve banking. He was essentially making sure he was always at break even. And I never met this guy. I only talked with him online on Telegram or something, and he wound up sending me back all the money. And even before I started working with him, I was kind of trying to understand, hey, how can I trust you and stuff? And he's like, well, my reputation should be enough. That's actually what he said to me. And his reputation was sterling. Like everybody I asked, and I asked a bunch of people for references, essentially said, oh, 100%. I've worked with him. He made me money. He's a straight shooter. And that's kind of the incentive system. This is kind of the real marketplace, like the Bazaar, right? Where everything is based on reputation. Because if you as a seller in that scenario that you depicted, did not give the person a refund if they had a legitimate reason to request a refund, you would destroy your reputation very quickly and nobody would want to do business with you. However, as a vendor, if somebody's trying to screw you, you could say, no, this is not what happened. You're trying to take advantage. So it's essentially between you and the buyer and the seller. And because there's no third party to intervene and to mediate and to say who's right and who's wrong. And by the way, any third party always prioritizes their own incentives above the incentives of the people that they're supposedly working on behalf of. This is the nature of this third party principle. Whereas you and the person you're doing business with, you have your own interests at heart. So you're going to line up your incentives and you're going to take the appropriate cautions to ensure that things go in an orderly way. Now, can you still get taken advantage of? Yes, of course. But what's the lesson there? The lesson is that nobody's coming to save you. You need to be mindful of what's happening. You need to be really, really careful. And guess what? Now that it's your money and there's no one coming to save you, you're going to be careful. Otherwise, you're going to lose money. So it's the whole idea of cryptocurrency is essentially the digital version of going to the bazaar, to the marketplace. And all the same principles apply. The main underlying principle being the one of free, voluntary transactions between two parties without any third party intervening. Can you imagine at a bazaar? And now we're getting a little into the economic and political aspects, but could you imagine going to your local farmer's market or your local bazaar and, there's a lady selling chickens and there's a lady selling fish. And then some guy walks up in a suit and tie and says, lady, I think you are selling too many chickens. You're diluting the price of chickens. You need to sell less chickens. And you, lady, you need to sell more fish. And actually, you're going to need more of this type of fish and less of this type of fish, without any heed of the fact that the reason they choose the prices they choose or they choose the products they choose is because of the demand of the customers in the bazaar. So the price mechanism is in place, and it's basically supply and demand, right? And I like to use this marketplace example because I think people get hung up on very vague, broad economic terms. But at the end of the day, you're a business or an individual and you're transacting with another business or individual. And crypto really facilitates that in a great way.
Yeah, and you can always involve tracks between the two parties using a lawyer. And so you will make sure that you will not get ripped off from the other guy when you're buying or when you're selling. And in the end, you will still have a legal way to proceed charges if something is not going well as it was agreed before making the transaction. So protection mechanisms exist. We just need to use them if we would like to apply crypto payments in the business that we're doing, including membership sites, of course.
Right. Or you can use smart contracts, which we're testing to see how well it fits for this kind of use case, or how easy it is to set up a smart contract. But a smart contract is basically like a digital lawyer. Basically says, it's escrow, right? It's like, well, okay, we're going to send money to this account. And if the required conditions are met, the money will be released. If they're not met, the money won't be released. So it's essentially a trustless method of getting things done without involving a third party and paying their fees and trusting them to be ethical, et cetera, et cetera. So
yeah, you just make the configuration of the rules there, and the smart contract itself will make sure that those rules are met and no one else is involved to close one eye and not look at the certain rules. If you make the configuration properly, it means that the smart contract will execute perfectly.
You know, Tim, speaking of chargebacks, since we started off on that topic, I was reminded of another scenario that we had. I think we've had in our whole, 10 plus years of whatever of doing business. Well, we've been incorporated, I think, just about 10 years, 9. But I was doing this before I was properly incorporated. I think I've had 1 or 2 chargebacks. I think 1 chargeback with Stripe, which was completely egregious. It was not a legitimate complaint on the part of this particular customer, but basically we did work for them and they decided they didn't want to pay. That was the gist of it, which, okay, that happens. That happens in business. And I'm not saying we've never made mistakes or that we're perfect angels or whatever. No, we're human beings. We have made mistakes, but in this particular case, everything was absolutely above board from our side. And this particular person, and I even told them, I said, if you don't agree with this, so before we even got to the chargeback scenario, I was in contact with this person and they demanded is more the term, X amount of money back. And I replied and I said, well, look, we did the work exactly as agreed upon. Here's everything we talked about. Here's exactly what we did. Here's the price we agreed on, and we did the work. I think it was a few $1,000s. No, it's even less. I think it was $500 or something. It's always really the small amounts where people lose their mind. People who are paying tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, they're generally a lot more relaxed about these kinds of things. I think it's because they have a better sense of perspective and altitude, and they're not tripping over dollars to pick up pennies, kind of thing. So I even told this person, I said, okay, well, if you don't agree, you're perfectly free to file a chargeback with Stripe, who's our payment processor. So that's exactly what he did. But here's the thing about chargebacks with I think probably most payment processors. As soon as they initiate a chargeback and they provide some kind of case or evidence to support their chargeback request, as soon as that happens, the money leaves your account. And I don't know if it's restored to them or if it's held like an escrow, but it basically leaves your account. It's no longer your money. And then you have to prove that, in fact, it is your money, that you earned it legitimately, and that all of the terms of your agreement were correct. And this is essentially a frivolous complaint, which I did. And I knew that it would be a waste of time, but I did it anyway, just because it pissed me off so much. But here's the thing, maybe people don't realize is, who are you making this case to? To the issuing bank of the customer who paid you. So what are the incentives here, right? Is it in the interest of the bank whose customer that is to refund you money such that that customer will then think that that bank is not on their side? So it's like, it's a really rigged system, because even if somebody decides to make a chargeback, and some industries have more chargebacks than others, luckily in ours, it's not so high. Well, then you're proving to somebody who has no incentive to really be objective. And so that's not a great position to be in. It's not just. I'm not going to use the word fair, but it's not just. So with crypto, it's on you and the person you're dealing with. And yeah, they can sue you, or they can go to Trustpilot or whatever and talk shit about you and say, hey, Vic ripped me off, and they have every right to do that. And then if you keep it up and if you really are taking advantage of people, like good luck, you're going to be kaput very quickly in business.
Yeah, and I'm going to say something else as well. So I remember like 10 years ago, I had an issue. My credit card was stolen, was scammed on a restaurant in a country that I was visiting. And they made two transactions from my card. I was sleeping at the time. I did not have the chance to react very quickly. So what happened is that the bank in my case did not refund me for the fraud that was made on my account. And that is the reason that why I went into the banking, because I didn't want anyone else to face the issues that I was facing at the time, to make the proper changes. We are really a small bank that I'm into, but it's a very good familiar one. It's like a small business like MemberFix, where we keep a good care of our customer. And that was my mission at the time. Now I have another mission to inform people about the advantages of accepting crypto payments on their membership website and on their e-commerce websites as well, because believe me, it has advantages, and it takes time for people to get used to this kind of new innovative payment solutions. But once they get used to it, I'm sure that they will love it. I'm into crypto for a long time, and I've been making payments in crypto, and believe me, I have no cases that I have been ripped off or scammed with crypto, because I have been always careful when I make those transactions.
Where I live in Thailand, to your point, Team, pretty much every transaction happens with scanning a QR code. So basically, Thai banks have this really great thing. Well, you can argue, is it great or not? But let's say this really convenient thing where even if you're going to buy fried chicken from a street food guy, he'll have his little QR, like anything and everything, except, this is funny enough, except when you go to the bank and you like get a new debit card or something, they make you pay in cash. They won't let you scan in their own bank with your own banking app from their bank. It's so crazy. Even in the government offices, you can scan most of it, which is really great. And it basically debits it directly from your Thai bank account. And it's the most convenient thing ever. And so anytime I go to another country, whether it's like a neighboring country in Southeast Asia, or last time I was in the US, which was years ago, I think now it's quite popular there to scan. I don't know how it is in Macedonia, but basically it's the most convenient thing ever. Now, what would be even better than that is, like, if people got a taste of that, they would never want to go back to cash, because cash just sucks. It's so inconvenient, and change and this and that. Scanning is so great. But what's not great is that obviously, like, you at the end of the day, it's through the bank, it's through all the regulatory agencies. All your transactions are subject to audit or oversight by regulatory companies. So it makes it you easy to track. It makes you easy to tax. It makes you easy to be subject to frivolous or, let's say, unjust laws and regulations. It can be a weapon, because you're not in control of your own money. You're not your own bank. You're using a bank that's probably tied to a government entity, as virtually all banks have some relationship with the regulatory bodies. So what would be really great is if people got a taste of that by going to Thailand or a similar country where everything is just done with scanning, but then to realize that, like, crypto would be the same exact thing on a daily peer-to-peer basis. It would be directly between you and the vendor. There would be no third party. There would probably be regulation. Again, it depends on the country. And, my advice is don't do anything illegal, because nowadays, if they want to catch you, they're going to catch you. And the best example of this that I can think of recently is Roger Ver, who is one of the pioneers of cryptocurrency. And he renounced his US citizenship in 2014. He's been living abroad. He's been preaching about crypto. He's been involved in many, many crypto startups. And he was basically indicted on what I consider to be a completely frivolous, spurious charge of not having paid his full exit tax. Yeah, you have to pay an exit tax if you renounce from the US. So I think it was a politically motivated thing towards him, because he's a very big figure. He's always basically talking shit about the government, not the US government per se, but like the state, the government as such. And they're like, oh, let's make an example of this guy. is what I think happened. And it's like, man, like if everybody is, you can't do that to everybody, right? So the whole name of the game here is adoption. And yeah, it's like, how do we help people understand how easy it is? Like, how easy would it be if I go to Team's membership site where he teaches me about crypto, maybe, and it's like, okay, here's the payment, and I just scan with my phone, it deducts from my account, and I'm good to go. I don't have to enter credit card details. I don't have to log into PayPal. I literally just scan a QR code and I'm good to go. That's so easy.
Yeah. First of all, I will say that if I work on the government and I hate Vic in example or MemberFix, I have some personal negative opinion about you, I can initiate a group of people to come after you and press charge. Well, you cannot do that in the crypto world because I cannot change the whole blockchain to go against you. And I can't do you any harm if you are right. And crypto payments work same as those QR codes that you're scanning on your country, Vic, because we were doing tests. I had enabled the Mask wallet in my browser, and I really didn't have to enter any credit card details at all, or I didn't have to log in into my PayPal account to make the transaction in crypto because it was saved on my Chrome browser in the extension. And once I clicked on the button to make the payment, the MetaMask appeared quickly on my browser. I just confirmed once again the transaction in the button, which is on the MetaMask. All the wallet IDs, everything is automatically configured, and it's like I didn't have to do anything at all, just to press one more button on MetaMask to confirm the transaction. It's just like taking your phone from the pocket, activating the camera and scanning the code.
Mm-hmm. Same thing.
You're doing. Yeah, and you're very happy with that. So I'm sure that also our customers will love crypto once they implement that. They don't have to take off the traditional way of payment. They can always keep this as an alternative payment method. So they will give the customer the choice to choose his preferred, if he would like to go to the old traditional way or to the new innovative way of proceeding the payment in the membership website.
Yeah, and as we go deeper into this project, and it's not the first project that we've done with crypto, but it's quite a big one and quite involved. And crypto evolves very, very quickly. I mean, between even like 3 years ago, things were quite different. So as we get deeper into that, we'll probably put out little mini episodes and little mini videos talking about that. And in particular, I'm interested to see what we can come up with in terms of facilitating subscriptions through smart contracts, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But I'm curious to discuss a little bit more about the broader implications of crypto and monetary sovereignty. So this is getting a little bit away from the MemberFix side and getting more into the economics and politics of crypto. Now, there's kind of two perspectives, right? There's kind of the utopian perspective of crypto. What would you call it? Like hardcore libertarians who, they don't want any government in their lives. They just want to be able to transact peer-to-peer. And they view crypto as the primary method escaping the state's ability to regulate your behavior, to reduce the value of your currency, to initiate foreign entanglements, to basically, fund various things that you may or may not agree with personally. And I happen to be one of these people. And but even though I would love that to be the case, that's not the case. The reality of the situation is that crypto is traceable. There's very, very sophisticated chain analysis companies that, basically we live in a world today that it's too far gone. You're not getting away with anything anymore. But how can we, freedom-loving people who just want to create value in the marketplace and sort of be left alone otherwise, how can we move things forward such that more people are able to be more free, whether that means they put more of their assets into crypto versus, keeping it in the bank, which is obviously a really silly idea. How can they escape inflation, which is exacerbated by printing money, which we're really good at doing nowadays, taxation, censorship. How do you feel about all of these types of issues?
Well, first of all, I think of the crypto as a cash payment because you have the money on your wallet and you send it to your wallet. So cash payments are the first payment methods that we're using in this planet. So, and we are going back to something that was originally created thousands of years ago as coins, as gold, and we're trading digital asset in this case, and we're avoiding the banks and not sharing anything with them. But as you mentioned, right now there are very popular blockchain analysis companies that can analyze all those transactions that have been happening not only recently, but since the wallet was created. And the beauty of the crypto is that if I can have the wallet ID, your wallet ID, I know that how much cash you have in your wallet, which is not the issue with the banking. I can't find out how much money you have in your bank right now. So if I decide to do a business with you, you're saying that Trim, I'm going to buy services from your company for 100K, but you actually have 1K in your bank account. So with crypto, I can go into your wallet ID and check how much money you have in your wallet and decide if I'm going to do business with you or not. So it's not only the liberty that you have with the transaction, but also the transparency is amazing with the crypto. And there's like no censorship, no inability to transact. If you have money, you can do the transaction. If you don't have money, you cannot do the transaction. As simple as that.
Right.
What are you thinking? Do you have any idea about this as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, in the scenario that you just explained, well, there's a few assumptions there. There's the assumption that that's your primary wallet, which if you're careful, right, again, incentives is like your incentive. If you have a couple $100,000 in a wallet, you're probably going to try to obfuscate the origin. And there's ways to do that so that people don't. I mean, okay, a chain analysis company, they'll figure it out. That's their profession. But your average guy, you don't want people to look into your wallet to see how much is in your pocket. You can hide that, right? And so maybe if I only have 1K in my wallet, I'll transfer from my primary wallet to my secondary wallet and I'll pay you from that wallet. So then you can mind your own beeswax kind of thing. But yeah, I do get the point that it provides a level of transparency with regards to different transactions. And, you know, another thing is like, if you know somebody's wallet ID, you could see what have they purchased, who have they received money from. And if you have some kind of, you know, strong political opinions, like I don't do business with people who eat meat or whatever. Okay, well, if somebody bought beef jerky through cryptocurrency and you see that in their wallet, you'd be like, okay, I'm not gonna. But what you can't do is you can't get a third party to, because that's another issue I guess we didn't really touch on, is a lot of these payment processors, a lot of these Silicon Valley companies, they're very, very politically motivated. They make decisions politically. So if somebody, let's say at Amazon or whatever, doesn't like your business, or they don't like your political opinion, they will just take you off their platform. They will remove you from Kindle. They will remove you from their servers. They will say it's because it violates their terms of service or that you're hateful or whatever, all this woke stuff that's happening. But the point is, it's like, well, I don't care what is your opinion. It's your right to hold it. And it's not the right of, well, it is the right of a company to remove you from their service, actually. But if we're talking in the crypto world, it's like, well, no, it's all trustless. It's not a third party determining it. It's between you and the person. If you're running your hosting company and you accept payments through crypto, and maybe you're anonymous and your servers are anonymous, if you want to host that, now I don't agree with your opinion, but I will defend your right to have it, because that's the whole deal with liberty and with free speech, is like, I can very much disagree with your opinion, but you're still able to. There's so many people online who like express stupid opinions for a living, like millions of them. What am I going to do? Go like boycott and start GoFundMe? And, it's like, no, man, just do your thing and minimize your surface area for conflict and basically reduce your risk. And crypto is a way of doing that for basically anybody of any viewpoint. So it's really a super interesting thing. But
Yeah,
I think
but you gave to the cryptos now a very bad description, I think, because you can host sites and you can share hate on that hosting and you can still pay your credit card, can you? There are
it's,
companies that, yeah. So, yeah, when we are talking about crypto, usually people always take the bad scenarios that crypto will allow you to do this and no one can interfere with you and with your business because you are going to be protected. What I want to say is that we have to think about using the crypto payments on a bright way. Let me say it like this, because we were talking about implementing crypto payments on membership that site, and is no harm in this process. Like we're trying to do something innovative, which is fast. It saves money for both the payment, the person who's paying and the receiver, and we have to focus on the positive sides of implementing crypto payments, not describing these scenarios where you can do things and no one can harm you.
no.
I don't agree with you on this one.
I know what you're saying. I think people get hung up on things that like outrage porn, like, oh, but I think you can learn a lot from the outlier situations, from the extreme situations. But let me put it another way, right? Because yeah, that obviously is a bit of an extreme way of putting it. Anybody can think anything about anything that somebody else does. So we've had customers, just to give you an example, like we've had customers before who do dating instruction. Like we had a guy who teaches men about dating, about women, about, getting their fitness and their wardrobe right, and speaking with women and stuff. There's people who take very great offense to that kind of content, right? Because because that's the whole point. Is anybody could misconstrue anything. People could misconstrue what we do. That's how creative people are with having no life. So my point was just to illustrate something more fundamental, which is that people have a lot of stupid opinions. Oh, they may think my opinion is stupid, fine, but I still am in my rights to say it, and so are they. And we let other people decide if they think that what you're saying is right or wrong. But what we're talking about is you should do your business and not be worried that Stripe or PayPal or whoever is going to shut you down, because that's a source of risk. And that's happened to a lot of people who run perfectly legitimate businesses. They said, I've seen this a lot, like in the Membership Academy. Oh, I got banned from PayPal, or I got banned from Stripe, or they held my funds. Well, what kind of business do you do? Oh, we teach crochet. Is there any possible way to interpret that as a bad type of business? But somehow they have violated some little term, and that's it. No, nothing they can do. So in other words, like crypto is, and as you said, you don't have to cut out your other payment methods, but you can keep crypto in there as well. And if you're comfortable with it, you can use it exclusively as well.
As well, yeah, sure. Or make it as a preferred payment method. Put it on the top of the form instead on the bottom. Yeah, the choice is always on the customer side, so they get to choose whatever suits them better in their website. But
Yeah,
we must serve them the options. We must inform them about the advantages and disadvantages of one and another payment method in advance, and they can make their own calculation regarding their thinking, their knowledge, and so on.
Yeah, totally agree, Tim. So, Trim, what would you say to people who are skeptical of crypto, or they think it might be difficult to implement for their online business? How simple is it actually?
I just suggest them to be open-minded, to be open to new opportunities, to test them out. There's no harm, and the practice will convince them that this is a very great payment method, and they will love it. I'm sure they will love it, and they will insist to continue and accept crypto payments in their websites. So just test it out. There is no harm. As simple as that. The implementation is very simple. It's not required like a lot of changes to be made on their current websites. We're just going to add another payment method there. It is probably going to take 1 hour from our work, our routine, just to make the configuration and do the testing before presenting that as an option to our customers. That's all.
Yeah, and if you need help with setting that up, we can help you.
Yeah,
I know what we do.
Yeah, not only to our customers, but whoever might look at this video or listen at this audio in a podcast. We are here to help them. And if they need additional information or they have questions or concerns, they can reach out to us. We will schedule a call with them and we will give them explanation and do analysis about their websites and present them all the possibilities and all the ways that we can implement to help them in their businesses.
Well said, Trim. Thanks so much for joining me. This is a really interesting conversation.
Oh, it was my pleasure, Vic, believe me.
Okay, talk soon. Thanks.
Thank you as well. All the best, Vic.